Welcome back. Celebrating 70 years of Israeli independence in the country of Macedonia, which is only home to 200 Jews. Currently, our own Vika Kanar, who works with us here on Trending, was there taking part in a really cool cultural community event. Why Macedonia?
Why Macedonia? Because it had a very big Jewish community, proportionally to the size of the country. It's only 2 million people, but actually almost everyone perished in just a few days. And, it's a country which has 33% of it is Muslim. So for us as Israel, I think it's so important to cultivate relations with a country like that.
So that's really specifically what the purpose was to, create kind of interfaith cultural dialogue because it is predominantly a Muslim country.
Yes, and celebrate and bring also diverse Israel, with the delegation.
So who came? So who was part of this delegation?
So we had singers, we had capoeira artists, we had people with special needs who helped an Israeli chef create the buffet for the event. We had a fashion show, of course, too. And it was just very diverse. We had religious people, non-religious, we had Jews and Arabs, and it was just such a beautiful delegation.
And how many was this all in one place? Was it outside? Was it, various venues?
So, well, let me say that every summer they have this event called Skopje Summer Festival, and they have, I guess, people from all the world come, and of course local artists, and we were honored to open the festival. It was the opening night that Israel got to do. So it started with a concert in the Philharmonics, with a flute concert and capoeira in the Philharmonics, quite crazy, I would say. And then,
I see her, the flautist we had on the show.
Yes.
Yay, we loved her.
Yes.
She left her flute here.
Yes. And then she came back for it.
I got a flute.
It was the same one. It was here in the studio a few weeks ago. And then, like I said, there were other artists. And then at the reception where, imagine ministers and diplomats from all over the world who came to it.
How did you feel like kind of, the people were reacting to, such an Israeli presence? What was the energy of the people
This is the beauty of it, which I have not experienced. And, I traveled to Europe here and there. People were just so open about Israel. And it was even just like a normal thing, like a dream come true. When you say Israel, no one makes a face. People were just, so friendly and kind and said that we want to come and visit.
Right. Which is great to know because you think, it's like Muslim communities, it doesn't mean they hate Jews and they hate Israel.
It's
what I
not
mean?
Self-understood, and I think they can become such an important strategic partner for us.
Of course, of course. Now let's talk about, the Shoah. This is so interesting. I mean, like literally the community was wiped out in a matter of days.
Yes, they were rounded up and they were taken to the train station and murdered in Treblinka concentration camp. Imagine that today, because Macedonia is still, they have the whole process. There's been kinds of conflicts, let's put it like this, with Greece and so on, claiming
they're next to all of these countries.
Yes.
Yeah,
But the Israeli ambassador in Israel, Macedonia, he has a big vision to really, create and further deepen the relation between the two countries. So what they did, they basically, a few months ago, they created March of the Living, which is this march where people marched from the city, from the center of Skopje, the capital, and the same thing from Bitola, another former Jewish community town. And Jews and not just the Muslims marched together to the place where Jews were taking to Treblinka.
Now it's interesting. There's only 200 Jews living there.
Yeah.
What do we know? Did most of them come out for this? Did they know about it? And how is it so small? Like the Jewish community never went back.
They never went back, and they were wiped out, and they're really here and there are just a few Jews left. But there's this
is it a strong community, albeit very small?
No, not so much. Many of them left during the Balkan War in the 90s, so there really aren't many. But I think it's very important still for the Jewish identity to preserve the memory. So, for instance, there's a cemetery project in Bitola, that town in the south of Macedonia, where it's one of the largest and the oldest Jewish cemeteries in the Balkans, from like 500 years ago when it was created. And until only 3 years ago, there was nothing left. It was just a hill. And so there's someone who's originally from there who works on digging those graves and then putting them out there, and they work with the mufti, they work with the local Muslim population to do it. And
how is Macedonia in general, getting along with their neighbors? We know the Balkans, it's close to Greece, but listen, with Croatia, Kosovo, and everyone nearby, and everyone is a different, comes from a different culture, a different religion. I mean, how is the kind of geopolitical situation for Macedonia with its neighbors?
So because there is a situation, let's put it like that, you know, they have been historically invaded by Bulgaria and Albania and Greece, who, you know, it's a very loaded name. Think of Macedonia, think of, you know, a lot of history.
Alexander the Great was from there. I'm trying to remember.
This is why.
How do I remember these? I remember these things from high school. I don't know how, but yes.
You know what? And it's not surprising.
That's why I always thought Macedonia was Greek.
And it's not surprising that we don't know much about it, because it's such a, you know, it's a small country which is mostly self-involved, but it's so interesting because it's really like a junction between Eastern and Southern Europe. And I think that this is really an upcoming place. You know, people want to get out.
More people are traveling now.
Yes.
I mean, I have friends I'm watching on Instagram that are in Croatia and Montenegro. I mean, it's becoming, you know, I mean, the Adriatic coastline is really beautiful. So
it'd be
great for people to discover a new region.
Absolutely, because you know how we joke that there's no place where there are Israelis. Well, let me tell you, this is one of the places where there aren't so many yet. So it's really
careful. Everyone's going to be watching, and now it's going to be the Israeli invasion.